The reference for this lecture is Angus Deaton, 2010, Understanding the Mechanisms of Economic Development in the Journal of Economic Perspectives. Our first lecture was on Concept of Development by Amartya Sen, who received his Nobel Prize in 1998. We have seen why income growth cannot measure development and well-being of the individuals and why we need capability approach to characterize development. The issues of consensus and prioritization of what capabilities to promote to achieve well-being is non-trivial, as the values attached differ across individuals, societies, and time periods. Our second lecture is on understanding the mechanism of development. The author of the article, Angus Deaton, is a Nobel laureate in economics. He received his Nobel Prize in 2015. He extensively worked with Indian data and on issues related to India. Deaton in this article emphasizes the importance of understanding as to how development takes place in poor countries. Knowing how poor manage to escape poverty is more valuable than evaluating whether pro-poor policy was a success. Progressive research strategy investigates the mechanism, tests the mechanism, modifies if necessary, and evolves a model that can be widely applied. Failure of a model or a hypothesis to explain the mechanism still leads to learning process in development. The three examples of development mechanisms elaborated in this paper refer to savings and growth connection, fluctuations of commodity prices, and the puzzles of food consumption and income in the developing countries. The connection between savings and growth was part of the theory of growth proposed by Lewis in his 1954 famous paper. He argued that the economic growth and capital accumulation to occur, an economy with a savings rate of 4 to 5% should change to an economy with a savings rate of 12 to 15%. The connection between savings and growth was verified from the data of both developed and developing countries with simple graphs and cross-tabulation. Around the same time, when Lewis proposed the theory of growth, Modigliani developed the life cycle theory of savings that tells us as to why and how people save. Later, Modigliani linked it to national savings and proposed that people save when they're young and dissave when they're old. Hence, both population growth that increases the proportion of the younger people in the population and income growth that makes the working younger richer increase the savings rate in the economy. He further proposed that savings rate does not depend upon the level of economic development, but it depends upon the growth rate. When growth rate is zero, savings rate is zero, as savings of the young is offset by the dissaving of the old. The parameters of the function are determined by the ratio of work span to retirement span. The life cycle theory of savings was verified, and the cross-section and time series data confirmed it. Modigliani thus tried to explain a mechanism of savings in the economy. The conclusion was fast-growing economies have a higher savings rate because they have more young people who save. The Solow model of 1956 demonstrated that in the long run, growth does not depend upon savings, and the economy reaches the steady state in the long run with zero growth, but in the short run, savings increase economic growth. In 1991, Carroll and Summers noted that if life cycle approach was correct, then in fast-growing economies, need to have richer young people than their older relatives, and their consumption should likewise be higher than the older people. To verify this proposition, they needed only data on age profiles and consumption across the countries. Summers and Carroll found that age profiles of consumption of the rich and the poor countries are remarkably similar, disproving the theory that the savings rate are related to the age composition of the population. Another contradiction is that low savings of the USA is not due to slow growth. Similarly, high savings rate in Asian countries is not due to high growth. Deaton and Paxson in 2000 and other authors have shown that for reasons not known, both in developed and developing countries, the households of all ages have changed their savings behavior. It is found that there are not enough life cycle savings and savings happen too late and too close to the retirement age, the age of dissaving. Life cycle theory of saving does not seem to apply to poor countries who are too poor to save even if they are young. The fact that the life cycle saving mechanism cannot explain the relationship between savings and rate and growth rate of the countries does not mean that life cycle savings theory is altogether wrong. People and the governments, on behalf of the people, do save towards retirement. But it cannot explain the difference in savings rate and growth rates in the international context. Lewis is probably right in giving the causation from savings to growth and growth to savings without having to have intermediate explanation with the help of life cycle savings mechanism. It is obvious that the intermediate work such as the life cycle theory and age cohort savings profile can only be undertaken by economists who understand theory as well as evidence. The processes of disproving a theory adds to the understanding of the development.